trying to put together a charcuterie board for my daughter's baby shower. We're having the baby shower next weekend. And so I'm trying to figure out, so I'm looking up charcuterie boards, and I see where there is a trend now for something called a butter board.
Oh, okay.
So, Rob, can you tell me what that is?
I can guess for you.
Okay.
I can guess for you. I would go to Home Depot and get a 2x4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I would saw it down probably to about, I don't know, a foot.
Okay.
Get butter, slab it on there, and let it bake in the sun a little bit, and then you can make something, I don't know.
Well, you can't bake with, when you bake with butter, you understand what happens. Like the end result, it melts.
Yeah, let it melt and soak into the board. That sounds like a butter board to me.
Okay, no. But you're really not that far off. The butter board is you take butter, like real butter, and you elevate it. So you're adding in herbs and spices and like coriander and honey and, edible flowers.
So still go to Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yeah, I guess.
Get your 2x4.
Right. And again, you're not that far off. I would probably seal it in some way so that the butter doesn't really get into it and ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Make a shed? With butter boards?
No, you don't make a shed with butterboard. No, this is for a party.
So you're going to slather butter all over a board and just say, here you go.
You're going to serve it with bread or crackers. But it's just the whole charcuterie, which is typically covered with vegetables and meats and cheeses, is now just butter.
So you just put a slab of butter on there?
Again, you take the really elevated, wonderful butter, put some spices, some seasoning, some edible flowers to make it really pretty, and then you decoratively put it all over the board.
You slather the board with butter.
You do, but you don't put it
So there
in
was
the
something
sun.
I was right on.
Right, that's what I said. You weren't too far off.
And then you
Just
throw
don't-
spices on it.
Yeah, and don't take it to the afternoon picnic because that ain't going to work.
Okay. What? Because ants will get all over it.
Right.
That's not good.
But see, I don't think I should do this for the baby shower. Like, I need cutesy, wootsy things for the baby shower. Charcuterie board. Like baby carrots, baby kale, gherkins, little baby pickles. Are you with me on this?
Sure, but what's that got to do with butter?
No, I'm just thinking charcuterie boards.
But you're asking about butter.
I'm saying I saw the butter board, and I think the butter board is weird.
I think you I don't know, you derailed yourself.
I did derail myself, but it's the way my mind works.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
So Liz was just mentioning putting butter on plywood. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio.
How does what I say get so turned?
Well, you want to butter boards.
I want a butter board. It's not necessarily plywood, but it is a
2x4s,
beautiful...
whatever. I mean, it's still a board.
Okay, it's they charge a lot for their 2x4s in plywood. If you buy
it depends on the
a
size.
Charcuterie board. It's a butter board charcuterie board. So it's like this elevated butter, this creamy, delicious, smooth butter, and they add edible flowers and seeds and.
So as you mentioned butter.
Yeah.
Scott Watson has a confession to make. Scott does our news in the morning. And what did you do when you were a kid, Scott? Do you recall what you did as a kid?
But when I was a kid, I used to sneak in the kitchen, grab a spoon, carefully open the refrigerator door, and eat straight out of the country crock bucket.
How old were you?
I'm like 6, 7 years old. I mean, real little. I loved butter. Straight butter out of the bucket.
You still love it like that?
Well, now, I won't eat it out of the bucket now.
Sure.
But like if I'm having anything that can have butter, yeah.
You slather it on.
You just slather it on.
Yeah. Why did you stop eating out of the bucket? I mean, just get your own bucket.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I think the bucket kept getting pushed around and, hidden from me as a kid, and it just faded away.
Okay, so I'm seeing little Scott Watson as a 6 or 7 year old kid, and he's looking at the stick of butter and he's thinking, that's going to make noise. Country crock, though. Just pop that little lid and there you go.
Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
Yeah, talking about this butterboard charcuterie board, and then found out that our own Scott Watson goes in, or did when he was a little kid, and snuck a spoonful of butter out of the country crock tub. So Brenda texted and said she did the same thing. It was real butter out of butter dish, but she would also drink pickle juice from the jar and take saltine crackers to her bedroom. Like, she was sneaking all kinds of stuff.
Right, yeah. Which
Charcuterie
makes
board.
me question Scott now. So, Scott, was it more than just the butter? I mean, was there pickle juice? Was there other food that you would get into that, should be on other food?
Yeah, I've heard the pickle juice is good for hydration, so I know more people are doing that today, but I've never done that. But the butter, I think, was just a phase. Good old scoop of butter.
All right,
Okay.
so you would have one of these butter boards, charcuterie
I
board
would
thing.
today. I
2x4
would. Yeah,
from
that
Lowe's.
sounds really good.
Yeah,
spoon.
something like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's Teresa at 800-447-7234.
I just was listening to you guys' conversation about the charcuterie board with butter, and I just wanted, not that this is necessarily of major importance in some ways, but you cannot use 2x4s or plywood because it's treated with arsenic.
Oh, no. Yeah. You don't want to eat off of those kind of boards.
You be talking like this after
Horrible.
you eat.
Yeah.
After you eat it.
My husband is actually a home builder, so I'm around wood a lot, so that's how I know. That was just a public announcement.
It's good. The more you know.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
You will never guess what this lady found in her bag that she got at a fast food joint. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, His Radio.
Joanne wanted some original recipes.
She was hungry.
She went through the drive-thru and she said, "Give me some of that chicken."
Was it extra crispy?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a
I
sandwich.
like the extra crispy.
Well, yeah, who doesn't?
I'm addicted to the extra crispy.
So good.
KFC.
So she gets her sandwich, and
just tastes great.
It does. She takes off. She gets in her bag. I can see her going down the road. She's
There's
like,
a
"I
crunch
can't
that
wait."
you get when you have the extra crispy.
She pulls her sandwich out, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna need a napkin." So she goes back in the bag. She goes to get her little napkin, and she feels something weird. And there's $543.10. There's a dime floating around in there.
That's quite the exchange back.
Right? I mean, napkin. Don't use it as a napkin.
I want that extra crispy meal. $500 comes with it.
So instead of going straight to the mall or going, to the strip mall or something, she cut a Yui and she went back to the KFC and she was like, I got my sandwich, delicious. Not supposed to have the money.
Good
And
for her.
What had happened, and they said she ended up saving the manager's job.
Oh.
Because from what I understand, in certain instances, they will put their night deposit or their day deposit, whatever, cash in like one of the to-go bags. So that,
Really?
well, if you walk out with a bank bag, are you kidding me? I mean, you're out there
okay,
like,
I
I
get
got
it.
some money.
I get it. It's a
Yeah.
way to conceal it and not be
Right.
obvious you're walking out with money in your hand. Okay.
Right. And so,
She put it in the wrong spot.
right. So the manager puts it in the bag, and then somebody said, "Oh, I need a bag for this, crispy sandwich," and grabs it, and there you go. But she could have just taken off,
Right?
but she turned around and did the right thing. But
Good
oh
for
my
her.
goodness, misplacing $540.
She probably put it in the wrong spot. I mean, I don't know about Scott, who's our news guy, but I have to have things in a certain place or I don't know where they are.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have to put the keys by the back door on a hook every day, so I'll know that's where they go. I've got my wallet there, and the remote controls have to be on a little side table in the living room because they just scatter, and I'll forget where I put them.
You don't know where they are. Yeah.
Wait. The remote control. Do you have one of those like Velcro strips so that it's always right there?
I
like that. No, but I didn't
No,
think
you
about
don't like that.
Sounds like you gave Scott an idea.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His Radio.
There is not an original thought in Hollywood. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, His Radio.
It kind of seems like it. I mean, seriously. So Karate Kid has been remade one time, and now there's a Netflix series, Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah.
Cobra Kai. So there's this whole series now based off of the Karate Kid. Now, the guy who has created the series said, "Oh, hey, guess what? A new Karate Kid movie's coming out. And it'll be like summer of 24.
Another one. Okay, weren't there 3 or 4 original ones with Ralph Macchio?
At least 3.
Yeah, and then there was
Will
another
Smith,
like a remake.
kid.
Yeah, Jaden Smith. And now, so I wonder, is Ralph Macchio going to be part of this? Is he going to be the new, what do they call it, that Mr. Miyagi was? Oh, my sensei. Thank you.
Sensei. That was
Okay.
Jake, yeah.
So, does he move into that mentor role?
Too many questions. I don't know.
I have all the
I
questions,
don't know.
though.
But my thought is they remake everything, right? And so what's going to be remade 20 years from now? You can't remake a remake.
Sure you can.
Well, evidently they're actually
They did.
doing that now.
Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
I just know it. I just know Rob Dempsey has groundbreaking information.
Sure.
It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio.
I don't know how groundbreaking this is, okay? So we've got a baby that's coming to our family. Her name is Grace, and it will be in October. Wow, it's going to be like less than a month. There will be a new baby Dempsey in the family.
Wow,
Little
could be less than a
baby
week.
Grace. So we got Jackson and then Grace. And the whole thing is, how do you get babies to sleep anyway? And so I'm reading stuff. Wow, Dempsey reading. Really? And they say, and I believe this. You just hold a baby, like stand up, walk around for 5 minutes. That lowers what they say is their heart rate, which promotes sleep. And then you sit down and they fall asleep.
So this was the groundbreaking.
That's groundbreaking. Yes. That's
To
groundbreaking. I know.
rock
You're welcome for that knowledge
the baby to sleep.
and how easy that is.
Now, I will say, when I was putting my own kids to sleep, I would pat their bottom while I walked around.
That's what my wife does.
Yes. And I don't know what that is, but I mean, you pat that little tushy and they're just like,
Yeah, so here's the thing. I can't remember if it was Wes or Brittany, but one of them said he doesn't like his bottom patted to go to sleep. And then Amy takes the baby and did that and then
exactly.
out like a light. She's like the baby whisperer.
So they're both police officers, correct?
Brittany and Wes, yes.
Okay, and so maybe it was a little more forceful, and he was like, "Am
It
I
was-
in
it was
trouble?"
Instead of the little pet.
Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
There are bucket lists, and usually those are like outlandish, like skydiving and this kind of thing. There is a realistic, and I saw this on social, realistic fall bucket list. So these are things that we can do with our family, our kids, our honey, whatever.
Okay,
throughout
couple of
the fall
things on the
season.
list.
Okay, so get a pumpkin spice latte.
No, but okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Well,
Nice.
I think when they say a PSL, I mean, you can do an apple cider, you can do some sort
No,
of
it didn't
fall
say
drink.
you can do what you want. It
That's
said
what
get
I
a
said.
PSL.
That's what I said. Get a caramel apple at a pumpkin patch. So that tells me go to the pumpkin patch and find a pumpkin to decorate your home with.
Okay.
Or make a pumpkin
But
pie.
you said a caramel apple, and I don't like caramel.
How about a candy apple?
But that's not on the
How
realistic.
about an apple? It's on my
That's-
realistic one.
Okay.
How about an apple cider donut?
You said this was a post you saw.
It is, but
So
it's
now
also,
you're changing the rules.
Well, I always change the rules.
Well, yeah, she kind of does.
Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
An alligator in the middle of the road. Might as well call a tow truck. It's Rob and Liz in the morning. His radio, literally, Texas Road. Here's an alligator, 11 foot. Even a trapper, a guy who does this professionally, could not get this alligator to budge. Wouldn't get him off the road and had to. So they thought, let's call a tow truck.
Well, he'd been looking for a nice neighborhood for a while, checked out the schools.
Evidently.
He saw that it was really close to, grocery shopping and this kind of thing. And so he was really adamant about sticking around.
This is my home.
Yeah.
I like sunning on this road. It's nice and warm. So anyway, they called a tow truck, and they didn't drag it off there. They literally was able to put something underneath him and then hoist him up in the air
Poor
and
thing.
then drive very slowly to make sure the alligator is safe and then bring it to, a place where the alligator should be.
They were like, come here, boy. Come here, boy. He's like, I made
Right.
friends. What is happening?
Loved it. But calling a tow truck and literally seeing a tow truck haul off an alligator that's 11, 12 feet long.
And if you're a tow truck driver and you get the call, right? The radio goes off or the call comes in and says, all right, you got to get to this subdivision in the next 20 minutes or whatever. There's an alligator to pick up. What now? Come back.
Alligator.
Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
He's a young scientist going into the jungles of Thailand and has to bring a microscope to be a part of his studies. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio. Here is the big challenge, though. It's a big, bulky microscope, and the microscope costs, you ready for this? $50K. $50,000.
How? Like, why?
Yeah. I mean, he can't. He's a young scientist.
Who can?
Not backed by, big corporations or anything.
Pharmaceutical company.
To do what he needs to do. So here's what he did. He took matters into his own hands. And he bought, a little piece of paper and some other equipment, all for $1.75.
$1.75.
And developed something with 140 times zoom, small enough to see a parasite inside a cell, he says. And it only costs $2. It's a paper microscope.
And so he's taken that and saved a lot of schools in this country a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like 16 million of these little, $1.75 microscopes have been sent to schools around the country.
Yeah, it's a company now called Foldscope. And it was a young scientist in Thailand, in the jungles of Thailand, that made this thing.
I think when you're in the middle of something and it's very difficult and you are just trying to think, there's got to be a better way. There's so many things in the middle of it. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Hopefully somebody hasn't already invented this. Well, in this case, no one had, and he invented it for less than $2.
So let's see, $50,000 microscope or a $2 microscope?
$2.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
You ever need to find something, you need to hire a 9-year-old. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio.
Like Barnaby, he's 9 years old. He likes to play in the backyard. And in the backyard that he lives in New Zealand, what a pretty place to live, huh? New Zealand?
It's gorgeous.
There's this nice riverbed, and he noticed, look at what's floating down the river. So he gets a stick, and then he gets whatever this is on the stick, pulls it out of the river, turns out to be an inchworm. Yeah, one of those little earthworms, Thing was pretty big, 3 feet long, which sounds unheard of.
It's disgusting.
It sounds unheard of. Now, he named this earthworm. The earthworm was not alive when he found it.
Aw.
I know. It didn't survive the floating in the river or whatever was going on. So he named it Dead Fred.
Why do kids do that?
Yeah. Barnaby, 9 years old. Hey, look, here's my friend, Dead Fred. He's not alive, but I found him. 3-foot inchworm. Seriously, we don't see them that long in America,
Thank goodness.
They're kind of, that'd be spooky, But evidently there's 200 different species of earthworms, and there is one that we never see because it's not around here, but there's one that grows to be 5 feet long. Oh. I know, right?
Oh. Okay, so what's his name again?
Dead Fred.
Okay, he better bury him because he's going to be Stanky Fred.